First of all, it's very important for us to define the concept of forgiveness. And the reason why it's very important to define the concept of forgiveness is that oftentimes people misunderstand forgiveness as being a victim. So, what do I mean by that? Sometimes people misunderstand the concept of forgiveness as being the same thing as turning the other cheek. Turning the other cheek means that if you come to me and you hit me on one cheek, I turn my cheek so you can hit me on the other. Okay? That is not an Islamic concept. Turn the other cheek is from different religious backgrounds, not our deen. And so I want to, from the very beginning, define forgiveness correctly. That forgiveness does not mean that you continue to allow yourself to be abused. That forgiveness does not mean that you continue to allow yourself to be mistreated or oppressed. Our deen is not a deen of injustice. It does not allow for injustice. It does not tolerate injustice or oppression. In fact, we are told in our deen that part of Iman is taking action against injustice. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you see something wrong, you should try to change it. He doesn't say, if you see something wrong, then turn the other cheek. He doesn't say, if you see something wrong, have sabr, sister. He doesn't say that. He says, if you see something wrong, you should try to change it with your hand. And if you cannot, then with your tongue. And if you cannot, then at least hate it in your heart, and that's the weakest of Iman. What is he teaching us here? He's teaching us that it is part of Iman to take action against what is wrong. It is part of Iman to take action against injustice. So from the very beginning, I want to clarify that forgiveness does not mean being passive. Forgiveness does not mean that you harmed me, I will forgive you and allow you to harm me again. Okay? So from the very beginning, I want to establish that understanding that this deen teaches us not to approve or accept abuse or injustice or mistreatment, whether that abuse or that injustice or that mistreatment is happening to you or your children or the person down the road or the person overseas. We as a deen, we are taught not to accept injustice and not to accept abuse. So this is a lot of undoing that we have to do. A lot of unlearning that we have to do. Because for a long time, we've been taught in some circles that being religious, being a good woman or man, means that you have to be quiet about abuse. You have to swallow it and keep a smile on your face. You have to turn the other cheek. You have to be passive. You have to have sabr. This is not the meaning of sabr. And this is not the meaning of forgiveness. So I want to be very clear. We are a deen of action. We are not a passive deen. We are an active religion. We are an active deen. And we are the people who stand up against injustice. The Prophet ﷺ said, help your brother if he is an oppressor or he is oppressed. And the companion said, we know how to help him if he's oppressed. But how can we help him if he's the oppressor? And the Prophet ﷺ replied, by stopping him from oppressing. That is how we help our brother. Whether that brother is a relative or a spouse, that is how we help our brother, by stopping the oppression. Not by allowing it, turning our face to it, being passive about it, and then being complicit. That means that we are enabling oppression, and we will be asked about that. Because Allah says that He does not allow for injustice done by Himself or others. Allah does not approve of injustice. And we are asked about our amana. We are asked about our amana. What is our amana? Well, myself is an amana. My body is an amana. My heart and my soul and my mind is an amana. And if I do not take care of it, I will be asked. And if I allow it to be abused, I will be asked. It doesn't actually belong to me. It belongs to Allah. This is why we say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, is because we know everything belongs to Allah, and to Allah it returns. So even my own self is belonging to Allah. And it is an amana. What's an amana? A trust. Allah has allowed me to have that body, to have that heart, that soul, that mind for a while, but it doesn't belong to me. I am in charge of it, and I must take care of it. My children are an amana. My children are a trust. I don't own my children. My children are given to me by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I am responsible to protect them. I am responsible to take care of them, and I will be asked. And if I allow my children to be in harm's way, even if that harm is coming from my spouse, I will be asked. That I allowed my children to be abused. What did you do to protect your children from abuse? I will be asked for that because they are under my care. So be very, very careful not to think that it is righteousness to turn your face to injustice or abuse, even if that's happening to you or to your children or to your family. So forgiveness does not mean allowing injustice to continue.